Welcome to the MPCNC build live stream. This is a live stream series that I'm going to be doing daily where I build one piece of the MPCNC at a time. These will all be streams that are going to be between, I don't know, an hour and 2 hours. We'll see. So yeah, this builds on the first video of the series, the parts overview, and all that, and laying out what parts I'm using, what components you could be using instead. Where did I put those? Where did I put the original plate? Anyways, what I showed you in that stream was a base that was 60 by 60 centimeters large. I have upgraded to a base that is 80 by 80 centimeters because I looked at the calculator and that original base would only have given me about 300 millimeters of build space, and I was like, okay, that part is large, that part is not that much larger, both are pretty unwieldy, so if I'm gonna build one, I may as well build it big. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the build. Again, this is just going to be a laid back, you guys build along with me. If you're building one yourself, or just, I don't know, if you have nothing better to do, you can watch without ever wanting to build one as well. That's up to you. But yes, we've got all the parts here. So let me switch over to the build guide real quick. Excuse me. Let me switch over to the build guide real quick. There we go. So yeah. This is on V1 Engineering's site, where you can find details for the printed parts, sizing info, basics, all that. Yeah, and on my side, I just have a list of the parts that I'm actually using for this build, but the design is by V1 Engineering. So step one is the table, and I guess the suggestion is to use like an actual like coffee side table kind of thing. So I don't know, seems kind of unwieldy. I'm going to be using the MPCNC on tables, on desks anyways. You could even screw it directly to your workbench if you have a flat and sturdy workbench. But I like it movable. So that's what I'm going to do. I just have that base. Basically anything that is flat works. So that's covered. Next up, conduit or tubing, pipes, rails, exactly. Yes, there is the sizing calculator. So this is what pointed me at the fact that with a table width, which you can read down here, actually if I zoom in, it goes off frame, cool. With a table width of 800 millimeters, you know, my build size would be really small. Where is it? Yeah, desired work width. So if I do 25, that gets me really close to, there you go, 525, really close to my 800 millimeter table basically down here. And the Z-axis, I have a 200 millimeter spindle lead screw. This is a 2 millimeter pitch, so basically, you know, one rotation is 2 millimeters in height. These are a bit stronger than what, for example, Prusa are using with the 8 millimeter lead or pitch. I never know. I think it's lead, where one rotation is 8 millimeters in pitch. So this is 200 millimeters long. So let's see how large I can go with this. Lead screw length 153 gives me 77. So I think 125, 120 to be safe. There we go. So now that means we need a conduit or tubing with 789, 790. This dimension really doesn't matter that much, doesn't need to be super accurate. Z-rail, I guess that needs to be somewhat accurate, 310. And then leg conduit height. Basically, these leg pieces that, hopefully they aren't too dusty anymore. No, these leg pieces go in these mounts, I believe. So these just prop up basically the entire build. So on top of these, we're gonna have the gantries and the side rails and all that. That just dropped into place, nice. And basically, if you make these longer, your tool is going to be further away from your work surface. So I did cut these slightly longer, cut these 10 millimeters longer than they need to be, because I would rather, I don't know, I'd rather have the entire thing propped up a bit more, because we can always put another sheet of MDF on the work surface, or if we're using a vise or something, excuse me, or if you're using a vise or something, this is about 20 millimeters tall. And this is going to prop up the part anyways if it's clamped in this vise. So yeah, these tubes I definitely did not just cut in the last 10 minutes or so, because I realized that tube cutter is just way too slow and way too tedious for stainless. Yeah, no, I did try to do this live stream just a minute ago, and it turned out tube cutter for stainless does not work. So what I have used instead, where's my auto rotate on this damn phone? Apparently what? I don't know how to rotate this thing. So I'm just gonna show you guys, like there, I got myself one of these saws a while back. And yeah, just cut the tubing a second ago. That's fun. I mean, that's a nice big saw, 300 millimeter disc, super good. So yeah, these are cut to size. I did slightly deburr them on the edge on the grinder real quick. Just gave him a quick lick, so these are not sharp on the outside. And yeah, this tubing is just basically cut to size. And that's the nice thing, because it's because you can cut this tubing to whatever size you want. Oh, I cut these to, actually cut these to 111, cool. Oops. Because you can cut this tubing to any size you want, you can make this machine as large or as small as you want. So I believe the default size is slightly smaller, or the one that I've seen shown off at Murph. But yeah, the limitation is definitely how rigid this stuff is. If you're using thin wall conduit, like you can just try how stiff and rigid this stuff is. If you're using thin walled conduit, you're probably limited by that much more than with this 2 millimeter tubing. However, this is quite heavy, so dynamically moving that around is going to be a bit more challenging than you know, with thinner and lighter components. Saying Pepe, thank you for Pepe. Thank you for the 2 New Zealand dollars. Oh yeah, these actually work. Nice. All right, awesome. So let's get building. Cut calculator. So we did the calculator. Yeah, there's inside deburring tools, and you can also use those wiggly tools that you may use for 3D printing to take that burr off for the inside. The inside, I believe, only matters on the Z-axis, the Z-axis rails. So these are the ones that are going to be holding the tool head, and there are parts that actually go inside these. So it probably would be nice if they didn't have a burr on the inside, but for the other parts, it's just for decoration, I believe. All right, how much do these pipe cost? So the conduit that, let me show you real quick here. So the conduit that it's actually intended to be used with, $8 US for 20 foot. So that's thin walled EMT. Now, no, wait. Oh, too many buttons. Now this stuff, because it is not like commodity conduit tubing, this is like actual blank stock essentially, and it's also a bit thicker and stainless, so just by nature that's going to be more expensive. This cost about, I think, like 60 euros in total. That's 7 sticks of 1 meter, 25 by 2 millimeter stainless tubing. So you're going to run cable through some of them, and that's a good point. Okay, so I might deburr them at some point. All right, but let's get building. Conduit base. Insert the previously cut leg into the foot bottom and loosely add the 3/4 inch screw. Can we get, so these parts are, like I said in the intro, these are designed for imperial sizes first. You can use them with metric parts, and you can actually see on some parts where there's a double nut trap. I forgot which one it was, but there was like a double nut trap that would both fit, you know, the imperial and metric size. But first and foremost, this is an imperial US market design, and like I said, you can use metric screws, and there's actually a table of, I believe this one, middle click, why don't you work? It's actually a table for which screws to use. There you go. So I'm hoping the rest of the guide is not going to be referring to just the imperial sizes, because I'm going to have to reference this table the entire time. Loosely at the 3/4 inch screw and lock nut. So I believe that's this one, that's the 0.75. So that would be the M4 by 20. Okay. Let's do that then. Cool, so I do have a full stack of, yes, I do have a full stack of screws, so I have all the sizes. I just bought big packs because and I'm going to be using them anyways at some point. But I also do have zoom lens. I also have my screw magazines over here in case we need a size that I didn't buy specifically for the MPCNC. And I gotta say, having like a magazine like that where it's just like, oh, what do I need? I need DIN 125 M6. So that's washers. That's regular washers. We have the galvanized and the stainless ones, and it's just, you know, all the sizes from M3 to M8. Well, M8 is a bit big, but up to M6, it's all in there. It's so good. If you have any sort of a workshop, get yourself some of these magazines and fill them up. It's a one-time thing. You refill them every now and then. It is so incredibly useful. Someone is asking, Floppy's asking about polypropylene tubes, which I would not recommend at all. Any sort of plastic tubing, here in Europe we do usually use plastic conduit tubing instead of metal. But that stuff, that's, do you have some here that I could grab? That stuff is like not rigid at all, so I would not use it at all. Logomos photo bombing, well, it's there. So apparently, supposedly, yeah. So this, I believe, was hinted at in the notes, that these nut traps are actually too large for the metric hardware. I just wish there was like a metric specific version that you could print instead of going like, here's the part. You're gonna have to figure out how to tighten these. So there you go. That goes in here. Ooh, that is quite tight. And I will actually grab my trusty Bosch screwdriver and drop the bits all over the place, because that's what we do. Yeah, up here. So 2.5, now we need the 3. And I'm going to try to tighten these. Yeah, there's the lock nut part. Yeah, and as you can see, that nut is just not grabbing at all. I'm gonna need some sort of a screwdriver that I can jam in there, or tweezers. Tweezers? Yeah, that works. That doesn't work. Oh, because it's the wrong side. Okay, so these need to go up here. Okay, will I be doing another 3D Senpai soon? Not sure about soon, but at some point, for sure. Now the instructions do say like it's recommended to use the Imperial hardware, but like getting the Imperial hardware for this would have added like 15 bucks to the cost, and I was like, dude, no. I'm not buying Imperial hardware just for that. I'd rather ruin a good pair of tweezers for this. You need to flip your nut and bolt. Is that going to make any sort of a difference? Well, yeah, I mean, there's a nut trap there, but is that going to help? Oh, let's try it the other way around. It does look like I'm in backwards. Nope. That is still 100% loose, even on the side that is like properly shaped for the nut. It would be just convenient if it was like one side for the metric and the other side for the imperial, because it really doesn't make a difference if it's backwards. Needle nose pliers? Well, yeah, but how? How? Like, you can't grab onto it. I'm trying to use the needle nose pliers, but how? Like that? Maybe? Yeah. Okay, that works. Then I'm gonna have the tubing in here. You can't grab onto it. I'm gonna grab some sort of a screwdriver. All right, let's try again. Just buy Imperial. Dude, again, it would have cost like 15 bucks just to buy the Imperial parts for this. Or this Imperial one single screw and nut combo. Why don't you Americans just buy metric? There we go. That works. Aren't the pieces made in Fusion 360? I don't believe the source is actually published. Like I said in the intro, this is a closed source machine, so the only kind of modifications you're going to make are the ones you design from scratch, so there's no going into the model and just switching a few things around, unfortunately. So, just do the same thing 2 more times and then a few more times tomorrow as I switch out these studs because one of them is too long. Haha! Actually, maybe I'm going to cut this one down real quick. That worked before, right? Mostly. And this last one, I cut this one too long. So this one is actually 1 centimeter longer than the others. I'm just going to cut this one down real quick. Be right back, literally. This is going to take me like 1 minute, most. I think you guys might enjoy the audio of that. So let me keep that on. Watch out, this is going to be loud. 3, 2, 1. That wasn't too bad, was it? I warned you guys. Okay, but we did get the part cut, because if we're gonna build it, like, why not do it properly? And it kind of smeared my glasses. So, last one. I'm gonna put the cold side in because the other side is probably gonna be melting some parts. There you go. Are you guys having some nice metric versus imperial discussions there? Beautiful. So one last time, I really wish, I mean, why is this not like half trapped in here? So, like, one side is the trap. Maybe I'm going to show you on a yellow one where you can actually see it. So this nut is like half embedded into the part. So if it was like totally embedded, like you could just jam a screwdriver in here like this or so. Or if it was fully open and just resting against the flat side, you could grab some needle nose pliers on it, but like this, it's just okay, whatever. Let's hope the other parts are a bit better, because this was explicitly pointed out in the parts list. Get in there. There we go. This one made some noises that I didn't enjoy. But I don't see where. Oh, there. Okay. There. Thankfully, I have a spare of these. Actually, let's grab this. Grab one more. I mean, this section up here, this is just super thin. Come on, GH5. I know you don't want to autofocus, but... So yeah, this section up here, and you can actually see that the printer is kind of struggling because it's just so little material with each layer. I have to use my guts to prop this up somehow. There we go. Somebody warned me that these might crack, but... Okay. Okay, there we go. That is the 4 feet assembled. Get your non-cost and get your your ratchet set. But the thing is, like, you can't get a ratchet in there. Like, no freaking way. Like, this is right up against the material here. This is right up against it. So there's no way you're gonna get anything over that. You see how deep that is in there? So I don't know. Cool. Those that need to be super tight, well, they're tight enough. So, all right, this is supposed to break. No. Yeah, by the way, this is the tool that I was talking about earlier when it comes to deburring the inside of these pipes, just in case we need it for, you know, running wires in it, but I don't think we're gonna get to wiring today. Anyways. Cool. Previously cut leg. Yeah, that was previously cut leg. Use the matching bottom corner and lock corner parts, or bottom M corner and lock M corner. The direction of the letter will match when assembled in the correct set. Optional, add some glue. I just had some glue before screwing together. You probably want to use something that is a bit volume larger. Maybe the gap could actually be okay to fill with something like super glue, because these parts actually fit. Look, what do you guys think about the color scheme? Like, I'm loving it. This is like colorway stuff. So these fit together like that. There's a smooth surface. I think I'm just gonna go with screws for now, because I could just yeah, I still want to be able to take them apart, though. I don't think these will ever need to be taken apart. Leveling legs. Oh yeah, that's one thing too. So these sit on here like so, I believe. Cool. Use the matching bottom corner and lock corner parts, or bottom M corner and lock M corner. The screw. What screw? Add the screw. Now there's 1.25-inch bolts. What screw? Same screw? I'll try the same screw. I'll try the same M4 by 20. I mean, length doesn't matter. M4 kind of fits, so I'm guessing. Okay, now that's interesting. So I'm using the standard DIN 912 cap head screws that basically, you know, you use for everything, and it looks like they're sticking out. If I use them like that, they're kind of sticking out. So the tubing is actually going to rest on the screw head, which I don't think is going to be an issue. But like this part here, this could have just been a bit deeper to accommodate for a larger screw head, because the pan head screws, usually you get those with a Phillips head, and Phillips head really is just the worst. So I don't use Phillips heads for anything. So yes, sockets, I'm grabbing those. Because at this point we do actually need sockets. And the wrench. Which one do we get? I think this one has more in it, right? All the way down to 8. This one is down to 6. Okay, I'll just grab both. So I'm thinking I actually need the finer one. So this one, this is the 3/8 inch socket size. And then M4 is 7, I think. Yep. So, supposed to be button head. Button head is up. It will slide. Well, will it slide? These should not be, these will not slide, I think. There's not, this is just the, these don't have any load on them, right? Grind down the bolt head. So did I match these? Yes, I did. So these are wrong. How large am I making it? I'm making it at 800 by 800 millimeters size of the base, which gives me roughly, it gives me a good 500 millimeters in travel length, basically. There we go. It feels like this could have been one part, but I guess printability and stuff. Robertson is not a head that exists here. And 1 and 2. Okay. Proxen is the best? Yes, it is. The only, like the screw head that you should be using here is Torx wherever you can, but most of the machine heads are some sort of hex, either like an Allen key style in hex, or an actual hex head. And Robinson, that's the square head, right? That's not something that you ever use here. Like you can't even buy the stuff. Just like Imperial hardware. All right, so that is the 4 tops, and these bases should be identical between each other. Oh, and I'm just seeing we're running into the same issue with, yeah, as we're clamping this down. Looks like we're doing the same thing again with screwing it onto the pillars. Nice. Okay. Cool. Let's see what we move on with here. Glue these parts together. Okay, put the screw in the front, in from the corner piece, and the nut into the lock and hold with socket or pliers. Okay. Assemble the corner onto the bottom, add the screw and nut goes into the hex-shaped hole. Okay, leave these screws loose. So I'm just, we'll tighten these once we come to it. So basically I'm just going to loosely attach a nut to this. Would be nice if it was actually just screwing to the plastic for these parts, because you can screw into plastic reasonably well actually, even without a preformed thread. Yeah, manual says not to tighten these down yet, so I am not going to tighten them down yet. Yeah, it could have been one printed piece, that is true. With a bit of support material, like I don't mind support material if it saves a screw in some assembly. Like this easily could have just been a single part. But we wouldn't have the fancy two colors color scheme, right? Dual color. Someone's saying I should be printing an adapter. If you can tweet that at me at Toms30p, I will see it after the stream. But if it's just in chat, it will disappear for sure. Okay. Don't crack the plastic. Well, if it's cracked, like You're not going to be able to undo it. Use the 2.5 inch bolt. Okay, which bolt is 2.5 inch? 5/16, 18, so that's an M80 by 65. So use the M8 by 65. Did I say M80? 2.5, running through the roller plate or the dual plates. We just have a roller plate, which I believe are these. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. This is by 130. 3 by 10. Where are my M8 by 65? 50s. And I just had the 65 somewhere. Good thing that it's not the 2-inch screw that I'm looking for, because I definitely don't have any 2 or 2.5 inch screws. Let me look for those real quick. I know I have them because I just used them somewhere. Okay, got him. An 8 by 65. So that is these. Oh yeah, by the way, bearings, you do need a bunch of bearings for the build. So I have like 3 canisters for 3 drawers full of 608 bearings. I went for the double sealed 608 type. Ow. And I've actually got a metal swipe stuck in my finger somewhere. Nice. So this, let's see. Use the 2.5 inch bolt, run it through the roller plate. After the roller plate, add 608 bearing. Where do I run it through? For the dual plate. So I have these parts. I also printed them in red. So I believe that goes like this, like that. That looks roughly like it. That's so, but. Running through the roller plate. After the roller plate, add a 608 bearing. Add the plate and bearing stack. Oh, so that's the roller plate. Okay, got it. Got it. So this is the roller plate. Cool. So 2 screws, then bearings. Can't wait till it gets to the XY assembly. Why? There's something special waiting for me. Oh, and actually I think these need to go in the other way because there is a shoulder included in these parts on one side that is not there on the other, and I believe that needs to go against the bearings, so the bearings don't bind. Which is a nice detail. So there, and then there needs to be a bearing in the center. Yep, and thread the bolt the rest of the way onto the bolt. Pay attention to the direction of the plate. It stands off should be facing the bearings. So those bearings. Yep. One there. Not even reading chat. I'm reading chat, but sometimes I'm concentrating. Bearings from the fidget spinner craze. It's the same. Yeah, I mean, it's the Mr. Step scroll up. Oh, okay. It's the same bearings that were used in the fidget spinners, yeah. So these 608 bearings, I mean, they're standard skateboard bearings, right? So they were, we'll figure that out. They were really popular a while ago, but the problem was that you actually couldn't buy like decent bearings anymore. There were so many like just cheap bearing lookalikes that had nothing to do with actual bearings. That whenever you ordered them, you got like this fake bearing crap that wasn't actually functional as a bearing. So thankfully that is now over. Thankfully you can now get decent bearings again, but that was kind of bad. So okay, apparently we skipped a step. Use the 1.25 inch bolts. So let me look up 1.25. That's the M8 by 30. Okay. So that's these, not these. Okay, and there is 3 extra, there we go. 3 extra bearings that go in here. Yeah, because that, as soon as you have that plate in there, you can't actually screw this down anymore. So let me check 1, 2, 3, and then the nut goes directly onto the bearing. Cool. That bearing and then a nut. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Why aren't the parts up on GitHub? Because they're not open source. They're not like you can download them from Thingiverse and print them, but you can't modify them. You're gonna have to design from scratch if you want to do that. Thingiverse downloading isn't working right now. Well, that sucks. Oh, so the 15 setting on the screwdriver is actually pretty good because these lock nuts do have quite a bit of resistance to them. And it's just flush, so that length is perfect. Yeah, I was actually thinking about creating an OPCNC, an open source CNC that would be compatible with these parts, but be under a completely free license. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. I would probably draw it up in Fusion. But the good thing is Fusion can be fully parametric. I mean, it's free. It's not like an OpenSCAD kind of thing where the software is free and it's super parametric and it's scripted. But I can't deal with OpenSCAD. Sorry, I tried, but I'm not that much of a programmer to actually be able to use to make use of OpenSCAD. That's not tight enough. You need to get the impact driver out. Yeah, sure. Nice try. OSCNC. No, I would go for OP because gaming lingo, you know. So this just goes on like that, right? There's nothing extra on this bolt. What torque am I using? That's probably like 15 Newton meters. The setting on the Bosch drive is pretty accurate. So that, and then a nut. Do I add a nut on the end? That bolt should be left extremely loose, almost touching the roller, but not all the way. Make sure these nuts don't interfere with small nut slots. If they do, put the small nuts in now. They do not interfere. Okay. Over tightening these nuts, I mean the bearings don't care. Like I'm just tightening them enough for the nylon nut to actually thread through, because these nylon nuts, again, they do have quite a bit of resistance. There we go. Okay, and there is one roller complete. I kind of want to try this on one of these tubes. There does not seem to be any sort of tension adjustment. So yeah, I guess I got lucky because this runs really well. This runs really smoothly. There is no, like, you know, I was looking at just using the parts for one size tubing, or for one size off of the actual tubing size that I was going to get, because like water pipe is just like a millimeter off, but that would not have worked, definitely. So yeah, this luckily works. There's no way of tightening these, and I'm not sure how well these actually hold up over time, because these, I mean, it's right now this is PLA. This might give over time. PTG might be better, but we'll just see. We'll just try it out. The last two tension the roller. Wait, the last two. Which last two? Oh, okay. I see. Kinda, I guess, slightly. So these two, because the bearing here is slightly loose, and on the bottom too, if you actually tighten this bolt, it will squeeze this entire part together. There's a shoulder in the middle, so it doesn't totally, it doesn't totally squeeze it down, but I guess it kind of deforms it enough. But yeah, read the manual. Reading the manual is boring. Put all the rollers on the rail and make sure they all slide equally well. There should be tension when inserting the rails, and all the bearings should touch. They do. So then there's going to be pairs. So I guess for now we're just going to be assembling a bunch of these. That should be fairly straightforward, right? No concentric nut? Nope. So one down, 3 more to go. I will try to keep YouTube chat is kind of overblocking right now. Sorry. I will try to keep an eye on chat, but it is scrolling by fairly quickly. So I'll just try to speed build these. Will I bring this to Murph next year? Nah. So what's coming up is EARTH, the East Coast West Coast, the East Coast Rap Festival, which I will be going to. That's in 2 months or so, I think. But I will not be bringing this thing to that, because international flights, you know, bringing a 3-foot CNC mill, you know, not the cheapest thing to do. Not quite. Did I get different bolts? No. You guys asking for the driver? This is the old 10.8 volt, but it's the same thing. GSR 10.8 VEC-HX. They changed the model names. It's just the standard non-impact chuckless driver. So these always go in from this side. Yeah, 13th and 14th of October. And then there is nothing that goes on that side. Okay. How many bearings? I believe 53. So if you buy a 50 pack, you barely don't have enough. So many. I would recommend buying like 60 because some of them are going to be, well, if you buy the cheapest ones, some of them are going to be bad. Like it's just the nature of the game. So you can try a few different ones and see which ones actually work. So next one done. Let's see this. I mean, these were all printed, I believe, from this, even from the same G code, so they should all run equally well. Oh. Yeah, very, very good, very good. Oh, and these bearings, one of them was just spinning really loosely. Oh, that's the center ones. Okay. 2 down. These go now, like that. Like this, the bearing, and then the nut. Should you try and print these in ABS? ABS is going to be challenging, especially with large parts like these, where it's, you know, a really chunky part. Unless you have a really good thermally controlled. Unless you have a really good thermally controlled enclosure, then it's probably, you know, PTG is probably your better choice. All right, thank you for the $5. Deckard's. I don't drink, but I will have a coffee uni. Thank you very much for that. Goes quick once you get it down. Yeah, will I finish it today? No. So, yeah, again, these live streams really, just to have them pointed out again, these live streams are more of a journal of, you know, me building the thing and hanging out with you guys. So I will try to build these as efficiently as possible, but it's also my first time building this machine, which is why stuff like the metric bolts were a surprise to me that they're not really supported in this build. Where do I have some paper towels? I do have some paper towels. Okay. One was upside down. What? No plastic spaces. Oh, yeah. This one is in the wrong way. I'll switch that over in a second. Thank you for pointing that out. But yeah, really, this is more of a chill, relaxed build where nothing will ever go wrong and nothing is ever there. Ah, that could upset me. Just good old fun. And at the end, we're hopefully going to have a functioning MPCNC. And again, this is not going to be the only stream today. I will be coming back tomorrow and possibly on Tuesday as well, because, you know, machine builds are always kind of time consuming and I don't want to push myself through like a super long stream where I force myself to finish it. That's not fun for me. That's not fun for you guys to watch. So I will be breaking up this build into several individual live streams where we each build for, I don't know, 1.5 hours and then move on to the next day. PLA Plus would be good too, from Foxabillo. PLA Plus, I don't know. I feel like PLA Plus might actually be way too soft for this. So, I don't know. From my testing, it's just a much softer PLA from the Philoween testing, and CNC parts do need to be rigid. So I'm actually not sure if that would be a particularly good choice. Looks like some Germans are still up. It's almost 9 p.m. here. You guys should be on the couch watching some quality German TV. No spacers. Hill CT, if you're talking about spacers between bearings and the printed parts, let me show you that real quick, which is it's a really nice design touch. Anywhere where there's a bearing touching a plastic part, there's this little shoulder. So you may put a washer in it, or you may just include a shoulder like that in your design, where the bearing actually just rides on the inner ring, and you can maybe pick up that there's like a small gap towards the outside. This is, I still remember the build of the, what was it, the Salesmendel, where you did not have these shoulders in the printed parts, and you actually had to add a washer, then the bearing, then a washer, and then the nut, which was horrible. With just so many, we counted. We got up to like 1,200 individual fasteners between washers and nuts and bolts. It was crazy. Quality German TV. I was being sarcastic, man. Say something in German. I never know, I saw those in Stefan's CNC kitchen stream too. The people who are, oh, say something in German. I feel like those are like some of the worst trolls, because they think like, oh, look at how funny German sounds if he's talking it. Like, so no, I will not do that. If you want to hear me talk German, then you can watch some of my older videos where I did actually try to dual language some of my guides and videos in the earlier days of this channel. So last one, and then these parts get assembled into a bigger stack, or into a bigger unit. These bearings are so oily. I mean, I guess that's nice that they do come reasonably well greased, but it's just, you get oil. Again, I touched them again. You just get oil everywhere. It's like this sticky grease oil stuff. Yeah, and I'm really happy about I'm really glad I have this driver right now, because tightening all this stuff by hand would probably take 5 times as long. What am I making? It says right in the title. Like, read the title, read the description. It's right there. So, 4 parts done. Sweet, I guess I can move these bearings out of the way for now. The funny thing about 3D printer terminology and language in German is most of the words don't exist. Like, if you're translating hot end, like, that's not going to sound right, and nobody's going to use that. So most of the stuff we actually have the same English words for. At least I use them. All right, let's move on in the build. Make sure these nuts don't interfere with these small nuts. If they do, put the small nuts in now. Put all the rows on the rails. Yes, they slide. This is showing the pair for X and Y axis. It should be one roller and one roller M. Are these, how do I know which one are roller and roller M? They look the same to me. Except that the overhang on the bottom is like backwards. Do I not have? Oh, I'm sorry, Auntie. Oh, here it is. I thought that wasn't enabled on the screen cap.
About OSS, maybe Ryan needs convincing. Simply face. First version at source. Bad mod started cropping up and gave MPCNC bad rap. His brand is stronger now.
Bad mods started popping up. Yeah, that's. I guess that's one of the issues with with open source where you don't separate like your brand name, as clearly as it needs to be from the files or from mods. I know that, for example, Firefox is a trademark owned by Mozilla Group. I don't know who owns it, but Firefox is the trademark, so nobody can call a product Firefox unless it's by them. But people can take the Firefox source code and make their own browser out of it, and distribute it under their own name. So the actual name doesn't get tarnished by that whatever else is using that code for it. So I don't know. The thing is, people are going to be making mods in either case. People are going to be modding this machine, and I probably will too, even if it's not open source. There just needs to be that community awareness that, okay, these are the original parts and these are modded parts, because it's the same for 3D printers. 3D printers can be pretty good right out of the box, but people can be recommending this, and this mod for it that actually turns it into a worse machine, and then that reputation sticks with the machine and not with the mod. I don't know how to solve that, but like stuff like the nut traps for the imperial versus metric parts. I just wish that was a CAD parameter, or there were at least some other parts available. I don't know. This is showing the pairs for the X and Y axis. It should be one row and one row M. Okay, so these go on the outside and then. How do they? Okay, so these don't get screwed together. I was looking for how do I actually connect these, but these don't actually get connected together. These just get matched up as pairs for one side versus the other side of the printer. So there's one and there is another. Cool. So you can see with the slope, with the overhang slope right there, this is one set and that is the other. So, yep, these are my pairs, one pair, another pair. Make sure your Y rails and rollers, add your Y rails and rollers to the corner assemblies, front to back. Do we screw down the feet at all? Lay a spacer corner on the rail. It would be really helpful to have like images of what these parts look like, because I can kind of make out that it's supposed to be these, but right. Yeah, the key is to use one stock and then use it to use one stock for a while and then decide on mods. It's what I've been suggesting for 3D printers as well, because most 3D printers actually, the mods don't make them significantly better. Don't make many printers significantly better. So yeah, use it stock, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing with this MPCNC. So apparently I need the base now, which is fun. Do I need to have where's my base? There's my base. Do I need to have the feet screwed down at this point? It sounds like it. Kind of running out of space, unfortunately. I mean, I did decide to go with the larger base for a larger build volume, but of course that means it takes up more space on my workspace, on my desk. Any project I will be using this on? Well, here's the thing. Once you have the tool, you know which projects you're going to be doing with them. But I've repeatedly run into into jobs, into details where it would just be nice to have some simple flat milled aluminum plate. And even being able to do that would already be a huge advantage. So, wire rails and rollers. So I've not screwed these down yet. I'll look for, it doesn't look like they're screwed down, so I will not do that yet. Wire rails and rollers to the corner assemblies front to back. Okay, let me try and arrange these. So is there a, so it looks like these go on the outside, like one there, and then like that. Yeah, so they kind of grab into the direction of the rail. So that would be here then, and that's here, and this one goes there. Cool. Lay the add your wire rails and rollers on the corner assemblies. Front to back. So I guess at this point we're deciding which direction is going to be front to back. And I'll just note that down real quick. So right here, this is going to be 0. So this is going to be X. And this is going to be Y. X, Y, Z. Right-hand rule still applies here. So X, which one do we start with? We start with the Y rails and rollers. So Y rails, thankfully it's square. You could also build this not square. So one direction longer than the other, which is, I feel like might be the smarter choice because you, which might be the smarter choice because you usually, if you have parts that are just like a, I'm thinking of a sword or something that's just long in one direction, you're very often going to run into those sort of parts where it's, where you're going to be making more use out of having like one long dimension and the other being not so long. But I mean, if you can make both dimensions large, like why not? So the thing is, this frame should be square because this, at least this MDF plate, got cut on the large, what's it called, plate saw that they have in the home centers. So I'm thinking if I just align this to the outside edges here, it should come out straight right away, or square. Make sure the angle belt brackets face out and the angles are pointed towards you. Yes, so we did look at that. Lay spacer corner on the rail. So that's these. And these are symmetrical. If I put them in the right way, like that. 1, 2, I'm hoping yeah, good enough of these. Don't forget to put the rollers on. That's a good idea actually. So like that, with the larger part up top and the plates. Where's the outside? So like this. Yep. Yeah. Don't fall over. Cool. Yeah, these bearings are actually tight enough to be to hold themselves in place and not rotate off, which is kind of nice. Can we zoom out a bit? Unfortunately not. This is a 12mm lens. It's already, it doesn't go any wider. I wish I could zoom out, but I can't. Like that. Cool. Other way? Nope. Exactly like that. I guess this perspective kind of helps. So, top corner pieces. Make sure the belts, the brackets are facing out in the angles towards each other. So the same with the angles as with the... Where do I have those parts? The same as with the other bits. Kind of looking confused right now because I'm not seeing the parts I'm needing. Did I not? I went through the parts list twice. Okay, it appears I don't actually have those parts right now. Oh well. So I'm just going to leave those off for now. I'll print them until we get back to building tomorrow. That's why we have a multi-day stream for this. That's what that looks like, and the same for these rollers. We'll tighten everything down once we need to. Who needs a roof? Yeah, thing with the roof is actually there is a roof right there. I can almost touch it. This is still a relatively small room. I skipped putting on the X-frame pieces. What do you mean these? X-rail and rollers right to left. Yeah. Thought I had these. 4 screws and nuts, so all this is left loose anyways. Set all your outer dimensions from corner to corner. Usually this is the same as your X and Y rail length that was entered into the calculator. Lightly snug up the top corner screws. These parts do not require much torque. So, okay. So the idea here is that we align these parts with, if these tubes were perfectly cut, then we could just use it for that. But these, I mean, you're rarely going to cut them right on the mark. So measuring again probably is a pretty good choice there. We will need the actual top clamps to tighten that down and to get a dimensionally accurate machine. Lightly snug up the top corner screws, trying to keep the spacing even on all 4 sides of the parts. Parts do not require much torque as the design holds the rails well, which we can actually already see. It's reasonably, well, it's already falling into place. So where am I going to place it? I don't know. I actually thought about just screwing it to the wall. I don't know, because it does also work vertically. It doesn't need gravity. Cool. Somebody's asking an end stop add-on. CNC machines don't really need end stops because you're always aligning it to your part. Unless you're just always doing a full sheet. I don't know. I don't see end stops necessary for now. But this is going to be the stream for today. That was the first page of the instructions, also called base minus the top clamps, which I don't know. Either I lost them or I didn't. I never printed them. Whoops. But yeah, that's it for today. I will see you all again tomorrow at 7 p.m. CEST. That is sometime in the morning for any time US, an hour earlier than we started today. But yeah, thank you for watching. Get subscribed, like the video, Patreon, YouTube memberships, all that stuff. Thank you for joining in. That is the most important part. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.